Oh. Nice. Unless you've been living under a rock, you'll have seen that Squid Game, the Netflix TV show, has kind of taken over the internet. It's fun, it's quirky, it is super gory and messed up, and that's why so many people love it, especially this time of year. If you don't know, Squid Game is a South Korean survival drama television series that's currently streaming on US Netflix. I don't know if it's streaming on any other country's Netflix because I am in the US, but it is currently, as I'm filming this and when this goes up, on US Netflix. The basic synopsis is a group of 456 people from all walks of life are invited to play a series of children's games with life-threatening consequences to have a chance to win what equals to be about 38.7 million US dollars for prize money. So, if you enjoyed Squid Game, or if you really like the premise and you're looking for something to fill the void after binging it, here are some books that are similar to Squid Game that you will probably enjoy. And as always, all of the synopses that I use for my videos are all taken from Goodreads. So, the first book we're going to talk about is called The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. It is set in a small American town, and it's about the townsfolk in this town that all wake up on June 27th for the annual lottery. Every family has to participate, but nobody wants to win. Shirley Jackson is most famous these days for her novel Haunting at Hill House, which was recently turned into a TV series on Netflix. If you haven't seen that, you absolutely need to. Season 1 especially is absolutely phenomenal and totally worth watching. And this book and story is just as creepy and haunting as her novel, Haunting at Hill House. The second book that I'm going to talk about is called The Running Man, which is technically written by Stephen King, but it's under his pseudonym Richard Bachman. If you didn't know, Stephen King publishes books and has for a really long time under a bunch of different pseudonyms. So if you're ever bored and really like Stephen King, but you've kind of gone through all the books of his that you've enjoyed, definitely look up some of his pseudonyms and check out some of those books. So, The Running Man is set within a dystopian future in which the poor are seen more as like rodents than actual human beings by the government. The protagonist, Ben Richards, is quick to realize this as he watches his daughter Kathy grow more sick by the day and tread closer and closer to death. Desperate for money to pay Kathy's medical bills, Ben enlists himself in a true reality-style game show where the objective is to merely stay alive. Again, the whole game show, death, deadly consequences, saving people either from debt, like in Squid Game, or, you know, trying to get enough money to pay medical bills for family, as in this. Same vibe, same situation. Since this is a Stephen King, you know it's going to be spooky. And if you like Stephen King, then you will probably enjoy this one. This one's an older book of his, but it's still a fun time. Well, it's fun for the reader, not necessarily for Ben or Kathy. I definitely couldn't talk about books that are similar to Squid Game without mentioning Battle Royale. I am going to absolutely butcher the author's name, so I will just put the book on screen. I'm sorry. So, Battle Royale is about a class of junior high school students that are taken to a deserted island where they're all given weapons and they have to kill each other until only one person is left. I feel like this is a story situation that a lot of books are centered about, but when this book was first published in Japan, it was wildly criticized as being violent exploitation. And then it became a bestseller because so many people were saying that, the book was insanely violent. It's kind of like a Lord of the Flies for the 21st century. It was also made into a movie of the same name. It was a Japanese pulp classic, but it was recently available for the first time in English. So if you read this book and really like it, and after you've seen Squid Game, then maybe you should also check out the Battle Royale movie. All right, so Red Rising by Pierce Brown is another book. I believe this is the first book in a series, and this is more of like a sci-fi aspect to this genre. So Darrow is a Red, a member of the lowest caste in the color-coded society of the future. Like his fellow Reds, he works all day believing that he and his people are making the surface of Mars livable for future generations. Yet he spends his life willingly, knowing that his blood and sweat will one day result in a better world for his children. But Darrow and his kind have been betrayed. Soon he discovers that humanity already reached the surface generations ago. Vast cities and sprawling parks spread across the planet. Darrow and Reds like him are nothing more than slaves to a decadent ruling class. Inspired by a longing for justice and driven to the memory of lost love, Darrow sacrifices everything to infiltrate the legendary Institute, a proving ground for the dominant gold caste, where the next generation of humanity's overlords struggle for power. He will be forced to compete for his life and the very future of civilization against the best and most brutal of society's ruling class. There he will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if it means he has to become one of them to do so. So I've not read this personally, but I have heard so many good things about this, either from people at work or just people on the internet saying that they've really enjoyed it. It's definitely on my list, but because so many people have been talking about it and saying great things about it, and it is very Squid Game adjacent, I thought I would bring it up here. And what would this list be if I did not mention Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card? I feel like Ender's Game is really widely known, but I will read the synopsis in case you haven't heard of Ender's Game. Andrew Ender Wiggin thinks he is playing computer-simulated war games. He is, in fact, engaging in something far more desperate. The result of genetic experimentation, Ender may be the military genius Earth desperately needs in a war against an alien enemy seeking to destroy all human life. The only way to find out is to throw Ender into even harsher training, to chip away and find the diamond inside, or destroy him utterly. Ender Wiggin is 6 years old when it begins. He will grow up fast, but Ender is not the only result of the experiment. The war with the buggers has been raging for 100 years, and the quest for the perfect general has been underway almost as long. Ender's two older siblings, Peter and Valentine, are every bit as unusual as he is, but in very different ways. While Peter was too uncontrollably violent, Valentine very nearly lacks the capability for violence altogether. Neither was found suitable for their military's purpose, but they are driven by their jealousy of Ender and by their inbred drive for power. Peter seeks to control the political process to become a ruler. Valentine's abilities turn more towards the subtle control of the beliefs of commoners and elite alike, through powerfully convincing essays. Hiding their youth and identities behind the anonymity of the computer networks, these two begin working together to shape the destiny of Earth, an Earth that has no future at all if their brother Ender fails. So this one is less... There's a bunch of people competing in the games, but really just focusing on Ender and his family and the games and situations that Ender gets himself in. This book is super highly regarded, especially in the sci-fi fantasy world, and it's surprisingly on the Commandant's reading list. If you're in the military, you probably have heard of that list, but if you're looking for something to read and you're in the military, I've heard this is a very good book. Again, another one I haven't read. And to wrap up this list, again, can't really talk about Deadly Games without talking about The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Now can I? I feel really guilty saying this out loud. I have not read or seen The Hunger Games, and I feel like as a librarian, that's a little bit sacrilegious. But I haven't, and I know I feel bad about it. But, I mean, if you know of the Hunger Games, you understand the premise. It's basically, you know, each district has to send one boy and one girl between the ages of 12 and 18 to participate in the annual Hunger Games, which is basically a broadcasted on live TV fight to the death. So children get sent to the Hunger Games, and they have to fight to the death. Is basically the synopsis of this. I feel like this one is very self-explanatory as to why it's on this list. So yeah, if you've read any of these, let me know which ones that you liked the most and which ones you think are closest in like vibe and situation to Squid Game. If you have any other suggestions on other books that you've read that are similar that you think other people would like, definitely leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I love you, you should love you, and stay spooky.